I'd consider the Watson match at Jeopardy as a mini Sputnik moment, and a few people got interested in AI because of it. What do you predict will be the next breed of Sputnik moments that'll get people sort of aware that AI is creeping up behind us and is gaining traction?
Well, there's a number of them. You know, when you get facial recognition that really works, when you get predictive algorithms that are able to figure out what your interests are, that really work. Machine vision, business analytics, theorem proving for some people, machines being able to discover new things in the mathematical space. For each person, there's a different set of things. Oh, drug design. Machines getting smart enough to figure out not necessarily the full protein folding problem, which is pretty complicated, but kind of haptin, antigen, other interactions at the molecular scale, and start to understand from 1D, from primary structure and protein, kind of how the 2D and then the 3D interactions are going to occur, and be able to look for unique efficiencies and catalytic pathways that are sitting there waiting patiently for us to go smart enough to see in the space of the cell. So there's a lot of really interesting things machines are getting better and better at, and I think for each person there's a different Sputnik moment. I have to agree with you. I think Watson was a Sputnik moment in the sense that it surprised us and helped us all of a sudden see just how close this conversational web is. And I've written the conversational interface in 2003, where I argue sometime between 2012 and 2019 we're going to feel that the web, we can talk to the web. And that's because we have a doubling time of the average query length that we do to the web of every 7 years, and have had since 1998 with Alta Vista. So Alta Vista to Alta Vista to Google, right? 1998, 2005. That was a very big advance. 2005 to 2012 has been another real big advance. Now we're talking to Google an average of 4.9 words, very close to the 5.2 of 2012, to be on that. But to move from 5.2 in 2012 to 10.4 in 2019, that's a very big change. You have emergent grammars coming in, and now there's so much you can do with a conversational interface that has a crude natural language processing ability at that scale. And I think that will be another Sputnik moment, where people will be able to talk to these avatars, what I call Cybertwins, and feel like there's an intelligence there, even though there isn't. It's just going to be the web, the NLP map. But then that system will be able to start dropping all these primitive personality models of you on top of that. And that's the world, after the 2020s is, to me, a world where it makes sense to talk to an avatar now and have a digital twin or cyber butler, cyber secretary, whatever you want to call it. But that thing is really going to have a primitive map of you and your values. And it's going to be able to steer you to other people who have those similar values. And that is such a new world. It is so different that it's almost like a singularity, a technological singularity, right? It's a world where everyone's going to feel naked without the web from that point forward, what I call the symbiotic age. You're going to feel like your values are being looked after. Everyone's going to have a lobby twin, if you will, right? You're going to find other people who have similar interests to you. Google will be able to take everyone who uses Gmail or any other web archived mail today is a blogger who doesn't know it. All of their all the things they care about are all in all that Gmail, all that conversation stream that you've written about, or if you use Google Voice or one of those others that you've talked about, being able to connect you up to other people who have similar interests without revealing each other's email or voice streams, just be able to find other people who might want to launch a company on a topic you've been talking about recently, might want to buy your product. All that's going to be possible in the conversational interface world, and that is less than 10 years from now. And that is a big Sputnik moment, in my opinion. That's a world where we'll wake up and recognize that the web is the single largest construction project, engineering project, transition that the human being has ever been engaged in. It's not any particular thing like, you know, AI or whatever. It's the whole web. It's the whole distributed digital intelligence and the net, all the supporting structures of that platform. That's the great pyramids of today, but it makes all the previous great wonders of the world look very small in comparison. So I think that process is, as I've said in my writings before, is not an evolutionary one as much as it is a developmental one. It's something that's probably happening on every intelligent planet that has access to technology everywhere in the universe. This is a developmental stage. The global brain, worldwide mind, whatever you want to call it, that is happening everywhere there's technology. And I think it's built in to the developmental physics of the universe that this happens, this acceleration happens. Not necessarily built in that humans survive the transition. There's developmental failures, for example. But as long as we pay attention to the immune systems that are developing along with the intelligence, I think we can do a very good job of making the transition in a safe and sustainable way. And it is sustainable, and a lot of people in the green community still cringe at that idea of using sustainable with respect to AI and accelerating technology. The reality is every new generation of technology has a smaller ecological footprint per computation or per physical transformation than the previous generation. Humans don't do that. Humans have the same level of impact. And we've been exponentiating our numbers, but that's going to go the other way. I think when you have this cybertwin, this extension of you, there's going to be less and less desire to replicate your biology. As Hans Moravec and others have mentioned, your mind children become more representative of you, and you have less interest in making more biological human beings. And if you die biologically and you've got this cybertwin that's completing your sentences when you have a senior moment, you're going to be less stressed about dying in that environment. You're going to feel like there's less of you that's actually dying. As Isaac Asimov said famously, why would I want to freeze myself? I've written 500 books. You feel fully backed up in a cybertwin type of a world. All the things you care about, all your stories, all your values, they're going to be in your cybertwin. So that's a world where we don't go to tombstones to grieve anymore. We fire up Cybermom and we talk to her. We got all of her stories, her attitudes. We can even change a couple of the faders. If mom wasn't quite as good as we liked her in certain areas, we can just kind of dial that down and get more towards that ideal. As Tolstoy said, happy families are all alike. Unhappy families are unhappy each in their own way. There's a certain developmental optimum for the way we like to relate to each other, and then there's lots of ways to fall off of that optimum. I think as we move towards a more totally quantified, more intelligent society, what I call the ever smarter world, we're going to figure out more and more easily what that optimum is, and we'll be choosing it more in our own lives. We'll be living more quantified lives ourselves, and more aware, more self-actualized lives. And that's some of the many benefits that I think technology gives us. And It creeps up on us. It happens in ways that we don't expect because it's happening everywhere.